Hey guys, welcome to episode 9 of Graceful Parents. I'm Reid Hillen, that's Josh Thames, and we got Ryan Roller with us today, and we're excited to get to talk to Ryan about parenting and life and sports and faith and all the things that we love to talk about here. Ryan, welcome. We're super glad you're here.
Appreciate it, fellas. Honored and happy to be here.
Yeah, we're pumped. We'll start pretty light here. We're going to jump right in with a pretty basic question, Ryan. What has God taught you in parenting?
Oh, yeah. Well, good thing I've got this prepped. It's really easy.
Yeah.
What hasn't God taught us through parenting? It's like a different level of trust and a different level of just humility every single day, it feels like, with kids both. You know, we talked about elementary, middle, and the high school levels. And so it's something different every day, it feels like.
Yeah.
Right now we got one graduating, so I'm grappling with that.
Yeah, you got 4 kids.
Yeah, 4 kids. So I'll run through that. I got Hudson, my oldest, who is graduating. They're all at Good Pasture. He's graduating, going to UT next year. Yeah, he's going to be a Vol.
Go Vols.
In the electrical engineering department. You know, he's got some genetic intelligence somewhere. I don't know what happened. Certainly my side. And then we got Warner, who's 14. He's a rising 8th grader. And then I've got twin 9-year-old girls who are going to be 4th grade next year. And they are both 4 feet of dynamite, buddy. Let me tell you.
I believe that, man. Ryan, what's it like to have that kind of spread of ages, man? That sounds like a blast. It also sounds tough. What's the deal with all those different kids at those different stages?
It's something different at every stage. Yeah, just like what you would imagine. There's a lot of people who've done it, and so they're probably like nodding along. But with Hudson right now, Malia and I are fighting through the emotions of seeing our oldest go to college. You know, and I'm phased. I'm not going to lie to you. I know it's hard. Sad, happy at the same time. It's a real mixed bag. And then Warner is kind of this like emerging young man. He's heavily into sports and athletics, a social butterfly. And so keeping up with his social schedule is, buddy, let me tell you.
Special. You didn't know you were going to be an assistant.
Yeah, no. Yeah. And then the girls want to be like Warner. So it's also really different parenting girls.
Yeah.
And so I'm fortunate to have, you know, a lovely wife who really works hard at being a good mom and doing all those things that, you know, I can't do. But they want to be like Warner too, like I said. And so they're into sports and keeping up with them. And plus that girl drama starts early, man.
Whew. 4th grade, man. That's early. Yeah,
it is. It's early, but you know, and that's something that I don't have a good feel for, honestly. It's not easy. Yeah. And so, you know, Malia's kind of diving into that with us right now.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things about having Ryan on the pod is that both Reid and I both coached with him at Lipscomb Academy. Best time of our lives. Best time of our lives, without not close. And we also saw his kiddos at different stages when they were little. I remember Hudson when he was I think he was still middle school, pretty early middle school. And I don't know, Ryan, as you thinking about him graduating pretty quickly here, that trajectory of his life over the last however long since I've seen him, man, that's a lot of growth that's happened, man. That's a whole lot that's been there. It's a journey. I'm just interested, like you said, you talked about the emotions of that all. I'm just wondering, what's that like to look back at all that and think about all those different moments you guys had to work through and everything. What's that like?
It's difficult, honestly. It really is, and we're doing a lot of that right now. You know, when you do these senior celebration moments, which are great and needed, and we're so proud of him, he's earned the right to go off to college and have a blast and spread his wings and do all the things. But while we're getting ready to celebrate him, we're pulling up all these pictures, you know, all these pictures of him sitting in the locker room at Lipscomb or, you know, being a 2nd, 3rd, 4th grader there. And it just doesn't seem real.
Yeah.
You know, it's how can he be this old? How can he be this big? How can he be this smart and talented? And I'm fortunate, really. Like we look back now and are realizing when people say it takes a village, it really does. And it's not just like with the help that you get, but it's the impact that good people have had on him over the years, you guys included. Um, just the marks that people at Lipscomb and at Good Pasture and at his church, that the marks that they have made on him has just been incredible. And looking back on the journey has been a lot of fun. It's also been kind of sad and hard, but
Sure.
overall, we're so blessed. I didn't want to lose sight of it.
Sure. Sure.
So, so I want
Go ahead,
to go
Reed.
back to the question I threw out as a joke earlier. Seriously though, like in that process, like what are some things that you have that God has been like revealing to you that really not any other way to learn in life, but kind of through the crucible of parenting?
Um, well, what comes to mind first is it's framing up our childlike relationship with God right now, because with Hudson, we're realizing we're not really in control anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
And so there's a real reliance on God to protect him and to give us the peace that he is doing the things that he needs to do. And
Yeah.
just a lot of trust right now, because it's kind of like, well, what are we going to ground him now? Or are we going to take his truck away? Like, no, you don't get that opportunity anymore. The job's not done, but
It's different.
it's different. It is different.
Yeah.
And so with Hudson especially, it's kind of like there's nothing else you can do except like get on your knees and say, "Hey, we take over here."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
him safe, keep him on the right path, and help us recognize the opportunities that we have with him going forward.
Yeah.
And so that we can continue to make the marks when we have the chance. But he's carving his own path at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Trust is the word I'm hearing there. That is a I think one of my favorite things about what God does in our lives is gives us opportunities to trust, and then we have to just like sit in it and wait, knowing like I can't actually dictate every outcome of my life as much as I want to, and so sitting inside of trust is its own beautiful difficulty, and parenting is a specific form of that is really um, really hard. I could also imagine it being pretty busy. So so talk to us about busyness and life and managing that type stuff
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, it is busy. And Hudson was our low maintenance child. He's always been very independent and handling his business.
Yeah.
And now that we're having to like chip in and be at all these things for him, in addition to Warner and his sports schedule, and then the girls and what they're doing, and end of the year school stuff. And you guys know how it is, having worked in education. The end of the year is chaos.
Yeah.
So it is busy, but I don't want to misrepresent. We wouldn't have it any other way.
Right.
We love
Sure.
it,
Sure.
and my dad has said I'd take the busy 100 times over the quietness of an empty house. And so we're trying not to wish it away for sure, but it's crazy. I think the harder thing for us, so you mentioned how you learn different things through parenting with Hudson, it's trust, and with Warner and the girls right now, it's a little bit of more of like keeping their esteem rooted in the right things, because we've mentioned sports several times. Sorry to just keep going there, but it's what they do, and it's what keeps us busy. And there's a real draw to sink your esteem into how you play or who you are as an athlete. And, keeping that balance is probably the most difficult thing right now with those three.
Yeah. I mean, they're like right at the stage where like all that they're trying to figure who they are and what matters and what doesn't and all that kind of stuff. And like a lot of times, what we've noticed, what Reed and I talk a lot about, is like you can say a lot to them, but what will they hear? What do they absorb? What are they hearing from others? That stuff's tough to kind of manage, man. We talk a lot with our kiddos about like how to understand who we are and who they're supposed to be and all this kind of stuff. And a lot of times, Ryan, I just feel like I'm just talking and I'm not sure that there's a whole lot of absorption.
Yeah.
So again, like it comes back to that trust, right? Of like, man, I hope you're doing something in there, God, because I don't know if I am. I don't know if you felt like that.
Oh yeah, I feel like that all the time. I hope just like 10% of what I say sticks.
Yeah, that sounds high. That sounds good.
That's a
Yeah.
good number. I'll take 10 all day.
Yeah. And I hope it's the right 10% too, because I say a lot of dumb stuff. So I
Same,
hope
bro.
it will
Same.
Yeah.
Ryan, we were talking before. One of our favorite parts about coaching with you, I think Reed and I both talk a lot about how, in a lot of ways, you were a mentor to both of us,
Yeah.
in coaching, but also just kind of how to grow up as a man. And like we were talking, one of the things we really appreciated about coaching here. Yeah, I know that's the thing with the profile too. It looks, um, but like one of the things we were talking a lot about is like the way that you manage conflict as a coach. I think it was something you were pretty intentional about. I think it's something you had learned. I'd be interested to kind of hear some of the thoughts that you have about like how you manage conflict there, but also like, does that translate to the parenting that you have with your kiddos right now? Is that something that connects at all?
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. So I played for, talking about sports again. I played for my dad,
Yeah,
and I thought he was really good at this as well. One of the things he said early on was, "You can tell me anything in the world. I can hear anything as long as you tell me the right way."
sure.
Hmm.
And I think what we all tried to do, you guys as well, we tried to, whatever we were saying, say it with love, say it with kindness, and give. No matter, even if it was a conflict or if it was something that we were trying to redirect with a player or a young player, given the ability to have them save face and keep their dignity and doing it
Yeah,
in private and doing it out of love, it just seemed like it worked better than some of the hardcore disciplinarian tactics.
Yeah.
That we've all experienced different places, but
sure.
you know that was
Yeah,
my that was most effective to me, and I just tried to relay it to others.
Yeah.
You guys know, it's like when kids don't deserve to be loved and you love them anyway, how impactful that can be.
100%. 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I've been
100%.
that kid way too much.
I was absolutely.
I remember the thing that I still take and try to be intentional with is how proactive it felt. Where like it would be something small, and before you always tried to like get it before it would snowball, before it would get away from us and become something that would enter into the entire the entire group. And like by bringing the person, it could be something as small as like a drop of the head, like and be like, hey, listen, I noticed that this happened. I'd love to hear what's happening and how you feel now. And just by giving our players the space and young folks the space to speak about that moment, it didn't always like make everything better or like, it wasn't like an on-off switch that was like, and now everything's fine. But it did give them a chance to be aware of like, hey, here's what we saw. Here's how we perceived it. How do you feel about it? And then it did at least give us some sort of the thing we talk about on here all the time is alignment. And we're coming alongside of you. And basketball is its own weird thing. There's only 5 spots on the floor. We had like what 17 people on the team every year. It's like it's just you're just like there's all high school games are so short. So like we're just in trouble in a lot of fronts here when it comes to the playing time conversation. Um,
Yeah.
and we got an idiot down there coaching JV named Reed, and he's not doing a good job. So
No,
there's not
wrong.
enough playing
Get
time
out
down
of
there
here.
either. No, and like so just that proactive nature is something that in parenting, I just wonder how that looks for you in parenting compared to how it was in coaching because they're very different things, but it is something I think applies.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does. anytime you can catch it before it becomes a big issue, it's always a
Yeah.
little easier, you know. And
Yeah.
what I see, especially with my girls right now, there's a little bit of that where it's kind of like you got to catch it early, but you got to catch it often too,
Mm,
because I don't know what it is with them, but there's something. It takes some more frequent redirection with some of the emotional stuff
yeah.
right
Yeah.
now. And so, yeah, catching it early and just not letting it blossom into a bigger problem is the
Yeah.
hope. I
Yeah.
don't know that there's any guarantee, but
Right.
catching it early, and like you said, the you don't get anywhere if there's not trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if your players, if your children don't trust that you love them first, then it really doesn't matter how you deliver it. It's not going to be as effective.
Mhm.
I don't.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. Yeah, that belief that like, hey, like whatever mom and dad are going through, however upset they are, at the end of I know who they are, I know what they think of me, and so we'll figure out what to do. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I just always felt, Ryan, that you A, were really good at communicating that, and B, like, we're pretty observant. That's the other thing too. I think that's a skill that I really try to be aware of and try to get better at, is like really trying to, like, if I'm going to be proactive, if I'm going to be aware of what's happening, if I am going to catch it early, I got to be understanding what's going on. You know what I mean? I got to be present, connected. And
Sure.
so I don't know if that's something that you try really, because none of those things work if we're not aware of what's happening. You know what I mean?
It's true.
100%. Yeah, just staying locked in. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, I think that's part of the relational equity that you have with people too. It's like if you're paying attention to them and making it about them,
Right.
then yeah, then they're going to open that door for you when you need to redirect or deliver some hard news. You have some space to do that, even if it doesn't take right away.
Right.
You know, you've got the space to do that, and delivering it the right way always is it's a challenge. It's something that's really important, but
Yeah.
they'll give you that space if you love them and they know you love them, I think.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about it?
We talk a lot about this idea around graceful parenting. Is this idea of like trying to not like parent and react out of like fear, and also not react out of need. I'm not great at it. I'm working my tail off to get better at it, and like that. I think that's the idea of like trying to figure out, how do I, like you're saying, how do I not like look at a situation and get all worried about how it's gonna reflect on me, or how this is gonna manage, like really focused on what's best for either the team that I'm working with, the person that I'm working with, or our family. That's a challenge, man, and really I think it's like takes a lot of humility, which I think that parenting kind of requires out of you. You know what I mean? That's kind of something I've learned a lot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
how powerful is it when you tell your kids you don't know? You're
Oh,
like, we're going to figure this out together. That's a
I don't
yeah,
know, dog. That's a good question. Keep asking it.
yeah, yeah. Like, why does
Maybe
God do this? I'm like, phew, that's a
no
couldn't tell you.
idea.
Couldn't tell you.
yeah, that's a
The
great question.
I have this image in my brain. One of our elders preached a few weeks ago. He wrote a book called The Shape of Joy recently, and in the book, he has this image that he uses that sometimes in the mental health world and in like in the outside world, outside the Christian world, or even in the Christian world, a lot of times we unintentionally do this where we've given each other an image that like our self-esteem is something that we should just be pumping up, and that's how we measure our life at any moment, is how like our esteem at that moment. And he tells a story in the book, and then he told it in the sermon where he said that he had a moment. He walked out one morning to his car to a low tire, not a flat tire, and he got his bike pump out and started pumping it up. And he's like, 30 minutes later, he's sweating, miserable. He did get the tire pumped up,
Yeah,
but it was an awful experience. And he's like, and that's what we do with self-esteem, is that we try to pump up our tires, our car tires with a bike pump. And instead of leaning into the gospel, into love, into the fact that we belong to God, and so like that rootedness, and I heard you say esteem earlier, and so that's just been kind of flowing through my brain a lot, is like that rootedness back into the fact that I'm loved and that I'm cared for, and as a parent, getting to share that with my child, that no matter what mistake they make, when they come back to me, like they belong to me. and I'm just wondering how that image strikes you and how that thought connects, if at all. If not, I'll just cut it out.
No, it does. No, I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
So for my 14-year-old Warner, you guys know Warner so well. He was the one when we were on staff at Lipscomb who, when we would play before school or do whatever, and Hudson was downstairs taking a nap, Warner was upstairs shooting.
Yeah.
And so he's an athlete. He plays every sport he can, and he's pretty successful in that. And so the real struggle with him right now, Malia and I grapple with this, is making sure his esteem is rooted in the right place. It's hard. But I've had to tell him several times. One of the things we say often is, God doesn't care if you make that jump shot, homie.
Just don't care.
No, he doesn't care if you get 30 tonight. He doesn't care if you win. You're praying for a win. The other team's praying for a win. And he's like, no,
Yeah.
this is not what it is. And so, and showing him how his esteem being rooted in the right things will lead him to be a more joy-filled person, I think, is, you're not going to have the ups and downs of a bad game. If your esteem is rooted in Christ and rooted in things that don't change, then we're all going to be a little bit better off. We're all going to be a little more healthy. And then you can attack the other things with joy because, I'm an athlete, but that's not my identity. It's not who I really, really am.
Yeah.
Ryan, we'll get you out of here quick. One of the things that that Jonas and I are working on. Jonas is also kind of like a young athlete trying to figure out his way inside of this. Is not being afraid of failure, right? Of a failure not being something that we're just so scared about. What really wears us out, and it's a tough journey for us, man. Because sometimes we're successful, sometimes we're not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd just be interested in have you encountered that at all? Like the idea of failing or not being good enough or something, or whatever. Is that something that you guys have messed around with in parenting?
Oh, it's not something we've messed around in. It's something that we've dived into wholeheartly.
Sure.
Let me tell you the story. It's a good story. So
yeah.
Warner was playing on a travel baseball team. And this was probably a couple of years ago. And he decided he didn't want to play baseball anymore because he ended the year in a really tough way, just having a hard time hitting as well as he wanted to. And so he came off the field. He was like, kind of pouting a little bit about not playing well. And I was like, you know what? We're going to play baseball again next year. And I do not live vicariously through my kids. They're great. And I would never force them to do anything athletically unless I just really felt strongly like it was in their best interest. And this one, I felt like he was quitting because of failure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he needed to learn the lesson. I made him play the next year. And I said, look, when you learn how to handle at-bats, when you learn how to handle getting out and not wanting to quit and fighting through and being resilient, then you can quit.
You quit then. We're done.
Yeah, right. Then you're done. You can do whatever you want. And so, and then it is such a valuable thing that one of the things that we still talk about, even on basketball, I'm coaching his middle school team now, basketball, is we talk about, hey, you're going to make mistakes. We want mistakes. We want you to play with the fearlessness and a joy that allows you to make mistakes. So go make mistakes. Just make them full speed and then don't pout when you make them. Learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, if we do that, that's life. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And so, we hit it head on.
Man, we're so right there with you. And Joe's, what he needs is a little Coach Roller in his life, probably. But we get out there and we're throwing, we're hitting, and Jonas will he'll get to a point where if he gets too frustrated, he'll just be like, I'm out. And those are the only moments, Ryan, where I'm like, no, we can't be done. There's not really any room here. Mm-hmm. We're gonna do it again, right? Yeah. we're not gonna quit right here. So
now hit a home run and then quit.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, that's when you want to quit. That's fine.
Or bust it down the line and get out and give a high five and quit. Whatever. But we're just whatever it is.
You gotta quit with a smile on your face. You can't quit pouting. That's not how we roll.
That's not how we quit. That's right. That's
That
right.
ain't- no, that
That's some
ain't
good stuff, man.
That's good.
Ryan, we have love. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn off the record button, and we're just gonna talk about Lipscomb basketball for another 45, or as long as you got it. So, but man, seriously, dude, we're so thankful just for you being a friend of us, for being the dude for us, and also just coming on the pod, man. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll end it with this. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys having me. The only thing I'll take credit again with Hudson leaving is he's such a good boy. We're so proud of him. And the only credit I'll take is that I put good people around him. I put him in the midst of good people, you guys included. So thank you for what you've done for our family. I really appreciate it.
That means a lot to us, man.
Absolutely.
Reed, that's a heck of an episode 9 right there, dude. Tell you what.
I don't know if that was 20 minutes or an hour. It was good.
It was good though. Whatever it was.
I lose track.
Good.
There's no clock on here, so I'm just like, I don't know how long it is, but I feel good about it.
Roll it out. That's good.
Here we go. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, y'all.